boom, and it just goes like that. Oh, Lord. Welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I am your hostess with the mostest, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, man?
Boom.
Boom.
You
And
never know.
if they didn't notice, that newest intro featured one extra little thing to it, and that would be an Amazon Fire TV sign in there, as long as along with Roku. I get my words right, and that is because our platform can now be seen on Roku as well as Fire TV. So if you got a Fire Stick and you want to add Empower TV Network to your list, you can certainly do that now. You do not just have to have a Roku device. You can catch us on Fire TV very, very soon, over the next week or so, I believe is what they're telling me. So very, very exciting. Very excited to see how many more viewers that we can get from that. So please like, share, subscribe, whether it's our Facebook page, Empower TV, or whether it's on our YouTube channel under Empower TV Network as well. Man, NFL doesn't disappoint, does it? Oh, the one thing I can say about this season that I've said all along is just when you think that you're smart enough to figure out what's going to happen, think again. Whatever you think logically should happen, go the other way.
Exactly. That's exactly what I put out on the Facebook the other day. Logic, reasoning, throw it out the window.
Just throw it out the window, because as much of a cliche as any given Sunday is, it has been more indicative of this season than any that I've seen in quite some time. It truly is any given Sunday. And we'll talk about some of these games where you scratch your head and go, wait, who won? And yeah, man, first and foremost, we had two games yesterday. And, I'm not mistaken, yesterday was Tuesday. And then we had two games on Monday. Now, the two Monday games were staggered as far as their start times. But interestingly enough, the two games on Tuesday were going concurrently. So you could have got a little whiplash going back and forth between the channels. But there was actually NFL on Tuesday for the first time this season, where because of some COVID breakouts and protocols working against teams, the NFL decided to relax their initial standard that wasn't going to be no rescheduling the games, period.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that was kind of what they said. Like, okay, if you're vaccinated, we're going to do this. If you're unvaccinated, we're going to do this. And we're not going to have this foolishness where we got games running over into Tuesday and we got to shuffle everybody's schedules and stuff. And yeah. So that was good while it lasted. It lasted all the way through week 14. So that didn't happen. Okay. Somebody just hit me up on YouTube. I don't know what language that is. But anyway. But yeah, so we actually had the Rams and the Seahawks, and we had the Washington football team against the Eagles. I really, really thought Washington was going to have the Eagles numbers, but I was wrong. Washington lost that game 17-27. They were actually leading 10-0 at one point in the first quarter. And then after that, they did not score again until the fourth quarter. So they went 2 quarters in a row dry. And Jalen Hurts just kind of came back with a passion. I mean, he went 20-25, 296 yards, a touchdown, 1 pick. But surprisingly enough, the story of their game still continues to be their running game, where, can you believe it? Miles Sanders had 18 carries for 131 yards.
All I can say is about time. It's about time. It only took them half the year to figure it out.
I mean, how much better could your record be if you would have figured that out a long time ago? You're 7-7 through 14 games. Could you have picked up an extra win or two if you'd let Miles Sanders run the ball?
Exactly, man.
I mean, you were in a position where you could really be putting some heat on them Cowboys for that NFC least, and now they're pretty much going to run away with it because the bottom 3 teams are just going to beat the crap out of each other and basically handed the Dallas. This is what's going to happen. And then, of course, Washington had to start Garrett Gilbert, who I think was on New England's practice squad, and previously before that played with the Cowboys. Actually ended up getting the start, and he actually had a decent game. I mean, he was 20 of 31, 194 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. They relied a lot on their rushing game, but they did allow him to throw the ball. But he hadn't been with the team that long. Heineke and Kyle Allen were out of the game due to COVID-19 protocols, so that didn't help them as far as delaying the game as much as it probably helped the Eagles more. Anthony Price says, just like the New England game, you know they're going to stop the run. Shaking my head. Are you talking about the Washington run, Anthony, maybe? I mean, they didn't run over 100 yards. That is true. Gibson only had 26 yards rushing. Patterson only had 20. DeAndre Carter only had 12. And then Jonathan Williams had 5. So my quick math tells me that that's about 60-something yards. So,
yeah maybe what he's saying. Maybe what he's saying is with a backup quarterback starting that the should have been to stop the run and then let the backup quarterback
beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
And that would be a good strategy. Eagles running, Washington should have stopped it.
Oh, he's talking the other way.
Oh, yeah, you're looking at what I guess, yeah, he's right in the fact that you knew that the Eagles were going to run it and you couldn't stop it anyway. And that's true because in addition to Sanders having 131, Hurts picked up 38, and then Jordan Howard picked up another 69. So they were well over 200 yards rushing for the game between the three of them. You know they're going to run it, but you also see that Jalen Hurts did throw for almost 300 yards. So how do you just say we're going to stop the run when he could just sit there and kill you? Because if you stack the box against Jalen Hurts and he gets through that, your next level of defense is 15 yards down the field. And if they think he's throwing, their backs are to him. So by the time they figure out he's not throwing it and he's running it, he's going to get first downs if you stack the box and he gets through it.
So sometimes you could say go into a game, yeah, we're going to stop the run. We need to stop the run to win. But that don't mean you going to stop it. You ain't got the talent to stop.
No.
Like, look at what happened to my boys trying to stop Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. Didn't work out well for us. Yeah, we knew we had to stop them, but couldn't get it done.
Anthony says Eagles are first in rushing. Washington was fourth in rush defense. Yeah, but see, that's conventional rushing. So, that's why sometimes these stat numbers don't always tell the story because, again, if you were playing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens and you said, oh, we're going to stop the run, are you?
Right, exactly.
Now, if you say, okay, Dallas likes to run the ball, we're going to stop the run, I see what you're saying because the probability of Dak taking off and running is less, and you can scheme against Zeke better. Now, Tony Pollard might give you another wrinkle in that because he can bounce to the outside so good. But your point would be more relative if it was the Eagles versus the Cowboys, I would say, than versus the Washington against the Cowboys versus Washington against the Eagles. When you have a dual threat quarterback like that, and again, some dual threat quarterbacks aren't even the same because they don't put up a lot of passing yards, i.e. Justin Fields. But when you look at though what Jalen Hurts did yesterday, I mean, he did more damage in the air than he did with his legs, but you have to respect what he can do with his legs. He did run for a touchdown. He scored. Matter of fact, he scored 2 touchdowns.
I don't know where Anthony got his stat from, but double check that, man. Washington's given up over 360 yards per game on the ground. They're one of the worst run stop teams in the league.
Well, he's a WFT fan, so maybe he reversed that. Yeah, but in any event, yeah, it's good to know, hey, we knew what they were going to do and we couldn't stop it. Well, sometimes that's personnel, sometimes that's coaching, sometimes that's just the other team really, really good at that because of their personnel. When you got good blockers up front, if your D line isn't getting a good push penetration and things like that to kind of knock them back into each other, that has a lot to do with it too. So, yeah, I mean, they did what they did best, and that's good to see that they basically said we're going to run the ball, but we're also going to make sure that we push the ball down the field. I mean, Dallas Goedert had 135 yards receiving.
Yeah,
I
Washington
mean,
really.
19 yards grab. I mean, so he was still doing his thing. So I get what you're saying, but good game by the Eagles. They started out slow. They didn't let it affect them. They came back. I really thought Washington had good control of that game. I've just been more surprised about Washington's defense, total defense, not just so much their rushing defense, but the total defense. And I know they're missing some key cogs, but Ron Rivera is mostly a defensive coach anyway, so not really sure why they've fallen so hard. I know Chase Young is a big piece, and the other guy, I can't think of his name, but yeah, shake my head. I need a drink. Next topic, please. Hey, I don't want to beat up your Washington team. You can always look forward to next year. I mean, Fitzpatrick will be back. I'm sorry. No, he won't.
Yeah, maybe Anthony meant 4th ranked in the NFC East.
Yeah, I would need a drink after that. Going on along yesterday to the Seahawks and the Rams. Seahawks kind of, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's Russell Wilson doesn't look fully himself, but I don't think it's just Russell. Hey, Andron, how you doing? Russell does not look like himself, but what's more at afoot here, Rand, I think really is it's just obvious that this Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks marriage is about to come to an end. I'm smelling divorce.
Yeah, you're right on that. This that Seahawk window started closing last year. It is shut now. It's time to go ahead and break the thing apart, let people go their separate ways, and rebuild this thing from the ground up to see if they could build another dominant defense. Right now, they do not have that. That 12th man thing in Seattle is a no. That's a no more. That was lost years ago as well. So they need to find a stable running back as well as another quarterback.
Do you think Pete Carroll is done, even if they decide to rebuild? I mean, they let everybody go, like Russell and Bobby Wagner, and some of these other guys.
Man, we talked about this before. I'd mentioned him as one of my possibilities for a coach on the quote unquote hot seat weeks ago. I ain't heard no chirp out of the NFL about it, but I mean, it would make sense if they divorced to me.
Just make one clean split. I mean, they lost Federer to Carolina, 2 years ago now, and maybe it's just time for an official reboot. Anthony says Wilson is done. He's gone next year, which I agree with. Lockett was out for COVID. Plus, what happened to DK this season? I think what happened to DK this season is the same thing that, oh Lord, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Same thing that happened to Dez Bryant. People realized that he was a one-trick pony, and they figured out how to defend him. I mean, you can be fast all you want, but you got to have technique. You got to have a double move. You got to be able to run the route tree and stuff. And people see. Here's the thing: Russell Wilson has made his career on his escapability and being able to extend plays by rolling out of the pocket, even though he's like 4'8". I'm just kidding. But he's been able to extend plays that way to give receivers the opportunity to get down the field. Well, people know that now, and all they're doing is they're staying in Russell's face. They're taking away one side of the field where his favorite target likes to hang out, and they're forcing him to the other side of the field by making him roll out. Because he's not throwing across his body. He's just going to roll out and throw downfield. And a lot of times Lockett is on that side of the field. Metcalf can't. No, I'm not going to say can't. Metcalf has not shown consistently that he is going to run different route options. He is a speed guy. All you basically have to do is play a high safety over top of him, flash to help, which makes Russell look him off and go in the other direction. So a lot of it is that defensive have just determined how to mask and basically lock down one side of the field, which is where Metcalf is, and that normally leaves Lockett open for one-on-one matchups. What do you
Which
think?
he can't take advantage of. At his size and speed, he still can't take advantage of.
Can't take
It
advantage.
reminds me of like when Juju Smith-Schuster in Pittsburgh was a number 2 to Antonio Brown. And Juju just dominated when Antonio Brown was there because Antonio Brown attracted so much attention.
Correct.
And then people in Pittsburgh were like, and when Antonio Brown left, oh, we're going to be good. We're going to be good. We got this 100 catch wide receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster that's ready to break out. Not so fast, man. Not so fast. When the number 2 receiver in Schuster became a number 1 and he became the primary option, he couldn't handle it. And he still ain't handled it years later. DK is the same thing. Once Lockett is out the game, you're not going to hear nothing from DK, man.
Nope. And, that's really the name of the game is, that's why these defensive tackles, they make some money, and these ends make some money, because if you can get enough pressure on the quarterback to affect their timing and not give them a chance, like, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams, it seems like all the time to actually just sit back there and pick you apart, which is why Tom Brady lost, and we'll talk about that too. They're just in your face as soon as you take the ball, and they're there because they're getting the actual push against the line. See, that those trenches that they talk about is vital to a quarterback because he needs that extra time to see the play start to develop. But if he's having to go through his reads, boom, boom, check down, boom, boom, check down, you can't move down the field like that. And a lot of times when you're checking out to your running backs, now you're hoping that they can make somebody miss so they can have some yards after the catch. But a lot of times they're just split out left or right, and they may still be a yard or two behind the line of scrimmage. So if a corner can close on them quick, now you got negative yards and stuff like that, and you've nullified having your wide receivers out there because they don't have time to get downfield. And then if you have a Metcalf who doesn't have double moves and other moves like that to free himself and to get himself a release, that just makes it even harder. Now your only chance is throw up a 50-50 ball and hope he comes down with it.
Yep. I mean, we see the same thing in Pittsburgh this year where, God, I'm forgetting his name, number 11, Mr. I'm going to celebrate getting
Claypool.
A first down.
Chase
Thank you, Claypool. Yeah. Claypool, big, strong, physical wide receiver. But not capable of running the route tree, not capable of getting separation. And at that position, wide receiver position, is all about getting separation. If you don't have the tools to get separate from the defender, you're going to have a quiet game, man.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other end, Matthew Stafford, 21 of 29, 244, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. His favorite target, Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, 136 yards.
Speaking of separation, right?
Yeah.
Kupp is separating the best of them.
Right. That's where I was going with that is that, I'm sure Cooper Kupp didn't dazzle nobody at the combine running a 40.
Nah.
So, when they do these combines, you got to take these combines with a grain of salt because you don't have on pads. It doesn't. And when you run a 40, that tells me your flat, straight ahead speed, but that doesn't tell me your ability to cut, your ability to elude, evade, make somebody miss, stop on a dime, start right back up, whether your hands are good, whether you can time a catch, whether you can keep both feet in line in the corners for fade routes and things like that. 40s don't tell me none of that. Just tell me you fast.
Yeah.
And if that's all that mattered, then Usain Bolt would be a great NFL player.
Yeah. And do you have the ability to catch what you barely get your head around to see? Because by the time you make your cut, this is the NFL, man. The ball is already in the air.
Exactly. If your quarterback is worth anything, they throw to where you're supposed to be. They don't wait till you get there.
Exactly.
Because if they wait till you get there, that means that the defensive back is also there probably too.
Yeah, ready to go the other way.
So the only advantage that a quarterback and a receiver have over the defensive back is they're the only two that knows where the receiver is going. But if you give the DB time to adjust, adapt, and anticipate, then there you go, Trayvon Diggs, and some of these other cats out there right now killing it. So the Rams did what they needed to do. They're atop the West, I think, with the 10-4 record. So they're starting to catch their stride. You know, Tampa did the same thing last year. They went through a rough patch before they started peeling off a lot of wins in a row. So is this now the time where the Rams are basically saying, okay, we had a little wonky spell where Stafford was throwing some pick sixes and stuff like that, and we lost a few games that on paper we were supposed to win. Is this now the time where the Rams are kind of solidifying their spot as being one of the best in the West?
I think so. I think they've gone through their rough patch, and they are starting to hit a stride in just the right amount of time to hit a stride, which is December. Once you hit December into January, you want to be stepping on the gas, and I think the Rams are doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that Odell Beckham Jr. only had one reception for 7 yards. You know, the game before that, he even had a better outing, and the game before that, he had an outing. I believe he had a touchdown in both of those games. Could it even have been more of they were just trying to adapt to Odell and sometimes maybe force it to him a little bit, and they kind of figured out, okay, we're going to have to make this a little bit more natural so that Stafford's not taking too many Brett Favre-ish like chances throwing that ball into coverages that he kind of knows better not to throw to, just to try to get Odell the ball, so to speak.
Yeah, they were really losing to some puzzling teams, man. So, and the games were not even close, which is also surprising.
Yeah.
So don't really know what was going on there, but it does take a little bit in order to get a new wide receiver adjusted to a new offense and getting time with the quarterback that's there. So maybe that's what has happened.
Could have been all of that. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. On Monday night, we had the Raiders against the Browns, and talk about a crazy game where I'm sure Browns fans just feel like victory just got taken away from it. Well, it did. It was a walk-off field goal from the Raiders, who had no business of even letting that game get that close to begin with. You know, that tells me more about the Raiders just sitting there trying to give the game away than it was the Browns coming back and winning it or almost winning it. The Raiders were actually up at halftime 10-0. And then they didn't score it all in the third quarter. Browns scored 7 in the third and 7 in the fourth. And with just a few seconds left to go in the game, they really thought they had it. And then the Raiders just eked it out at the very, very end.
Yeah,
that was a crazy game. That was a very crazy game. Josh Jacobs only ran for 52 yards, but he ran 15 times trying to wear out that defense. On the other side of the ball, Nick Mullins was in for Baker Mayfield. No Kareem Hunt. Nick Chubb ran 23 times for 91 yards. And that was really, you know, most of it. Nick Mullins only he threw 30 times, hit 20, 147 yards though. So very short passes throughout the whole game. Couldn't push the ball down the field. The top receiver was Peoples-Jones with 48 yards. So not a lot of offense from Cleveland, but they stayed in the game with their defense.
Yeah, if I wasn't such a big Pittsburgh fan, I would actually feel sorry for the Cleveland Brown fan.
Well, they did you a favor.
No, I wouldn't. I still hate them. But year after year after year, just misery. Just expected to be.
They always say they're this close, Rand. They're just this close.
Then the season starts and it just starts to slowly fall apart. And every time that they have a play that could put them over the top, they cannot get it done. Ever.
No. And it's just so crazy to see it year after year where they get their hopes up and it's like, here we go again. You know, it's something about Cleveland, I guess. The other Monday night game was the Vikings at the Bears. Minnesota won that game 17-9. Kirk Cousins 12 of 24, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I'm sorry. You threw the ball 24 times. And you had 87 yards. Who do you think you are, Cam Newton? But sorry, Cam.
Yeah. Where was that Kurt against Pittsburgh?
yeah. You like that? Yeah, he didn't do that against Carolina, did he? But Dalvin Cook, I mean, just beat the crap out of him. Didn't get 100 yards, man, but he carried the ball 28 times. I mean, that just pounded somebody into submission. He let your running back go like that. He still got 3.2 yards to carry. I mean, that's just brutal, and it's just eating up the clock. As a matter of fact, when you look at time of possession, the game was actually even 30-29. But it was just third down efficiency. The Bears were 2 for 12. Pittsburgh. Minnesota was 5 for 17. They got a little bit more done on third down. Sacks were about even. Vikings had 4. The Bears actually had 3. Penalties. Bears had a few more in penalties, about 40 yards more penalties. And the crazy thing is this: Minnesota had 13 first downs. Chicago had 24. That just means you can't get the ball in the end zone, but between the 20s, oh, you had it all day long. You just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. Nagy's just done. I feel sorry for Justin Fields. Do you? I mean, now here's the crazy thing. Again, Justin Fields. We just said what Kirk Cousins' numbers was. Justin Fields, 26 of 39, 285 yards and a touchdown. No picks.
Yeah. They were moving the ball, like you said, between the 20s all day long. Except when they got in the red zone, man, they just could not put it in, either by penalty or by stupid turnover. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. Or turnover on downs even.
Yeah.
But it was crazy that they scored the very last play of the game. Finally got it in the end zone after that.
Yeah. And I mean, Justin Fields, listen. Justin Fields knew what he was walking into. You know, I don't feel sorry for Justin Fields from the simple fact that he knew what he was walking into.
Why would you?
And he had the opportunity to sit for a minute because they started with Red Rocket. Now, he got hurt, and there was already pressure before the season to immediately start Fields and all that kind of stuff and everything else. But you know that the line isn't that good, but you figured Dalton could take more of those hits than Fields. But Fields is starting to figure it out. He's learning by fire. Is that ideal? Not always, but some people do better when they learn by fire. So I'm not too down on Justin Fields, other than he has to understand that when you don't have a good line, your clock has to speed up faster. You got to get rid of the ball faster, and you got to make decisions faster. Am I pulling this back and running? Am I throwing it? Am I hitting my hot reads? Am I going to my check downs? And the biggest thing to learn is don't play no hero ball and try to throw it in double, triple coverages. Throw it away and live to play another day. Chicago teams in the past have always been known for low-scoring games and playing the field position. Just do that a lot of times and then be opportunistic with your chances. A lot of rookies, though, put a lot more pressure on themselves than they actually need to, and that's sometimes what really messes them up. You can't help what team draft you. I would have been mad during that draft. Yeah, but you knew that you were going to be a high draft pick.
Yeah, that's part of the process.
Listen, the top 10 teams, unless they have moved up in the draft, normally sucked the year before. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
if you're picking the top 10 and they were in that, that means that your team wasn't that good. So he could have played worse at Ohio State. I'm just kidding. Or come up with some, drug arrests and stuff like that would have brought his stock down. I don't know. But if you're going to be one of those standouts, you're going to go to the suckiest team. And they sucked for a reason. Their line was bad. The coaching was bad. They didn't have a help. You didn't have any receivers, something that otherwise Trubisky would still be there or Foles would be the starter or something like that. So obviously the reason that you're there is because those things didn't work, and just you being there wasn't going to turn everything around. But I do agree with you, Anthony. You can't help where you're drafted, but going in, I mean, hell, you knew what it was.
Of course.
And as a quarterback, you almost have to figure out, how can I be successful in spite of the fact that we don't have a line? I'll give you a perfect example of that. For like I brought up Russell Wilson. This ain't the first year Russell been getting pressured and hit and stuff like that. He's done that for a long time. He's taken a lot of hits. He's had to extend plays because his line wasn't always good. Aaron Rodgers has always had issues with his line, where he's had to extend plays. Aaron Rodgers didn't run because he wanted to. He was running because he had to, because the line wouldn't hold up, so he had to roll out of it. He had to roll out of the pocket. He wasn't doing that because he was just trying to be, sneaky or whatever. He was doing it so he could live. And Justin Fields has to realize that too. When your line is not that good, climbing the pocket might not always be the best thing, because now that means that the defenders are behind you. What happens? Now you pull your arm up to throw the ball. That's how you get these strip fumbles. So there's just certain situational parts of football that a rookie has to learn, but he has to go through that. It's growing pains. I think it was actually good for him to play because it just kind of gave him in-season practice. Because after a certain part of the season, you can't even wear pads, can't hit each other and stuff like that. So every time he goes out, to me, it's just practice. There were no expectations that you were going to win the NFC North anyway. So you're playing with house money. You're playing with a coach that you know ain't going to be there next year. So you're just getting some field experience. Your true year begins next year when you have a new coach, and hopefully they can build on drafting and free agency and get some folks around him that can protect him. So, yep. Anything else on that, Rand?
You said it. Chicago sucked last year. That's why they were in the draft position that they are last year. That's why Fields went there last year. When they got there, it wasn't like he was coming to a team that was going to compete in the North. They
right. It seemed like they did all these off-season acquisitions that made you go, "Oh man, they got substantially better."
Right. Your only shot was beating Detroit. You are doing that in the North, but you're not going to compete with Minnesota and Green Bay. So
exactly right.
With house money, man.
Exactly.
It's part of the process.
Exactly. We had a really, really good game on Sunday with the Green Bay Packers against the Baltimore Ravens. And I know you're happy for the outcome, for the simple fact that we found out that Lamar Jackson wasn't going to play, and that they would be starting Tyler Huntley. Now, Tyler Huntley is a very capable quarterback. He's a very mobile quarterback. He proved in some other games when Lamar had to go out that he is definitely a suitable backup. And I think that most people figured, well, if Lamar ain't playing, though, they were already going to have a hard time beating Green Bay, even with Lamar. So surely without him, the Ravens would just fold. They wouldn't even show up, and they just mail it in, and Green Bay would just walk all over them.
Didn't happen. Typical of this year. It didn't happen.
All it came down to was John Harbaugh deciding to go for the win instead of the tie.
He don't learn, do he? He just don't learn. Burn once, burn twice. We'll see if he gets burned a third time.
Oh, man. Now, your defense kept you in this game, but what you did was the same thing that Matt LaFleur did to Aaron Rodgers last year. He took the ball away from the defense by basically saying, if you go ahead and get this tie, I don't know that if we go to an extra quarter, that y'all are going to be able to get the ball back from me. That's basically what you said to the defense. I don't trust you.
Yeah,
we going for it. But they were there for you all game.
I don't know, man. He did the same thing against Pittsburgh. I don't know why he didn't trust the offense against Pittsburgh's defense, but
I don't either. I mean, don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers did his Aaron Rodgers thing, 23-31, 268, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And he spread the ball around brilliantly. But they were never fully in control of that game. That game came down to one call. And I'm surprised. And Huntley, dude, you did great. If you want to come down to Carolina and be a backup and so we can get rid of PJ Walker, I am more than
Yes,
okay with
yes. Now that is a true backup quarterback right there, and we'll take him in Carolina any day.
Any day, any day. You know, come on over. Don't worry about Sam Darnold. Don't worry about PJ Walker. Hell, don't worry about Cam Newton. He ain't gonna be here neither. Anthony says, I question Jim. I think you mean John, but Jim. I'm play calling. He gambles a lot and loses. Watch them not make the playoffs. Oh, I've been saying that for a minute. The Ravens are a regular season team.
Please don't.
The Ravens have. They're not going to make a playoff. They're a regular season team. They do these things in the regular season, and then if they do get to the wild card in the playoff, they just don't know how to play in the postseason. And until they prove me wrong, I'm going to keep saying that. That's why I don't ever believe the Ravens are built to go deep into the playoffs. They're just not built that way. Listen, Lamar has one reliable receiver, and Tyler Huntley seems to think the same of Mark Andrews. Dude had 10 receptions for 136 yards. Sounds like Cooper Kupp numbers, but he's a tight end.
Yeah, Kelsey number 2, right?
Yes.
Look,
yes.
Man.
He's your tight end. And he had that. Yeah. Oh, we'll get to Kelsey. Yeah, and I'm kind of mad. You know, I will go back to it in a second, but I'm kind of mad about what Kelsey did because he's on my fantasy team at work. And it just so happens that I was number 2. So I had a first round bye. So he got all of those points, and it didn't even count for me this week. He had 48 points. I get none of it.
Wow.
Because I had a first round bye. So I'm in the semi finals next week, and then hopefully the championship the week after. But unbelievable. Kelsey finally breaks out like that, and I don't get nothing from it. So anyway, I'm a little bitter. It's okay. I'm still in the playoffs. But yeah, so that was crazy. So Mark Andrews did his thing. Tyler Huntley, much props on that. But of course, the win still goes to Aaron Rodgers and those pesky Packers. So they're still doing their thing. Would you say that they are the best team in the NFC right now?
You know, I can't say that, but what I can say is that the 3 teams that I think we picked at the beginning of the year for the NFC are currently doing their thing. Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and the Rams are all right there. And I think it's going to be crazy to watch how they finish in the NFC. It really will. And yes, Dallas, I left y'all out.
Speaking of Tampa Bay, yeah, I know, right? And rightfully so. But speaking of Tampa Bay, they had a little hiccup. They just have a problem with the Saints. The Saints are not going to the playoffs, but the Saints seem to have their number. They've swept them this year. I just have no now. Okay. I get it. Brady started losing targets like crazy. I mean, Evans goes down, Godwin goes down, Fournette goes down. Who else went down? Did OJ Howard go down? He was out there. Cameron Brate, one of the tight ends, went down too. So he started losing players left and right. I mean, he was going to Scotty Miller. Gronk only had 2 receptions. He had Tyler Johnson out there. So, but here's the thing. I'm not going to let Tom get a pass on that because we don't let Baker Mayfield get a pass on that. We don't let Lamar Jackson get a pass on that. We don't let Joe Burrow get a pass on that. So I'm not going to let Brady totally get away with that. He did throw for a 75-year-old man. He did throw it about 48 times, which is crazy. He only hit 26 of them, but he threw the ball 48 times. I just want to let everybody know that this is a 42-year-old man. And of course, Taysom Hill, 13 to 27, 154, no touchdowns, no picks. So he did improve. He did throw 4 picks in this game. And he did run for 39 yards. He was their leading rusher as well. Anthony says, bold prediction. Anthony, that's not bold.
That's not bold. That's what I was thinking too. You have more chance of being right than wrong. That's not bold.
There's only one team in the NFC that can make it, dude. So there's 15 other teams that can make it. That's like saying, I'll take the field against Tampa Bay. Dude!
Most of the time, you're going to win that.
You heard it here first. Okay. But Anthony, I'm going to tell you the truth. They were my Super Bowl pick. And I don't see it, as long as everybody gets healthy, I don't see anybody yet that will be able to beat them. I see some that are going to give them a hard time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's going to be a cakewalk. But I'm not ever again, betting against Tom Brady. I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to do it.
Either.
I ain't going to do it. I mean, conventional wisdom would have said 42 years old, he would be declining. I just want to remind you of something. He's leading the league in passing. Even after that, he has 4,348 yards, and Derek Carr is second, almost 200 yards behind him. That's a game almost.
Yeah.
He's 40 freaking 2, and he's leading the league in passing. He's thrown 36 touchdowns.
Normally, I would not say a team can repeat and win the Super Bowl 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I'm not betting against Tampa not being able to do that.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. BA and the guys and Byron Leftwich, they'll figure it out. What happened. Ronald Jones had some good plays. Fournette is going to the IR. That is going to be a big hit for them. If they can get Rojo to be decent on the ground, I don't know who his backup is going to be. Like you said, states don't matter.
Stats, maybe?
Stats. Oh, okay. Yeah, we usually say states. Like I said, stats don't matter. Stats don't matter, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is conventional wisdom would have said there's going to be some decline. And we're not seeing that from Tom Brady. Did he have a bad game? Yeah, he did. But what quarterback this year hasn't stunk it up at least 1 or 2 games?
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, when you pass for over 4,000 yards and you got 36 touchdowns, those stats do matter because that is most of the time going to lead to victories.
I mean, and Anthony, it's indicative of, yes, he did get he fumbled and he did have some turnovers, but he's only had 11 picks all season. Dude is doing some stuff at his. If you took away the fact that he was 42, what he's doing is almost MVP. No, I'm sorry. It is MVP.
It is.
Oh, that's right. They signed Le'Veon Bell. That is right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They sure did. Yeah, so he's going to back up Rojo. So of course Rojo's going to get a lot of snaps, but Le'Veon could be used with their scheme in a lot of short yard situations. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, goal line. I can see that. You're trying to use him as a wrecking ball. Hell, I'd use him as a damn fullback.
Well, now I am thoroughly against Tampa winning the Super Bowl.
you still got something against the Le'Veon.
Anybody but Tampa now, man. Anybody.
I mean, they got Le'Veon and AB. It's like a reunion.
Oh my God.
Speaking of AB, you did see where Bruce Arians did decide to bring him back after his felonious fake COVID card thing. He did commit a felony, even though they didn't go that far with it. But he decided to bring him back, and he was straight up honest about it. He said, you know what? We're here to win football games. And Chris Godwin is going to be gone. And obviously that was Tom Brady's favorite target outside of Rob Gronkowski. Godwin had already had over 100 catches, I believe. Yeah. Or very close to it. That's crazy. That's definitely his favorite target by far. So you got to be able to stretch the field out. You got Mike Evans. He's a great big receiver. He gets doubled a lot, so he hasn't been very productive this season. I know that because I have him on my fantasy. And Godwin's always the benefactor of the catches. Gronk is the benefactor of the catches, but you need somebody like an AB. And he basically said, listen, is he a perfect citizen? No, but I'm not here for perfect people. I'm here to win that chip again. So that's what we're
He's
gonna do.
right.
He
He's
had to.
right.
They don't have no receivers. Yeah. They got some, but they don't. But I mean, if you got AB on your roster and you don't play him, especially after Chris Godwin goes down, then you should be fired. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
they hire you to coach.
They're going to suffer from the same thing we just talked about with Pittsburgh, Smith Schuster, and
Yep.
Seattle with DK. If they did not sign Antonio Brown or bring Antonio Brown back, everybody was just going to key on Evans. Evans
Yep.
is not that fast of a receiver that's capable of getting that much separation. So it's really, really going to hamper their offense. With AB out there now, you got another wide receiver that you have to account for. So it just opens up everybody else to do damage.
And he can still run. And I agree with Anthony, too. He says, I don't trust Evans with the hamstring. Hamstrings don't heal over time. They definitely don't heal when you don't give him time to rest. So if he's going to play with it, and you don't have to look any further than Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins. They've been fighting that all season, and they'll try to get back in. They'll try to get back in, and they're just a shell because hamstrings require rest.
Yeah.
And when you're in the meat of a season, you can rest on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, do your walkthrough on Thursdays and Fridays and all that stuff. But that's not the kind of rest you need. You need like months, 2 months resting your hamstring, not sitting there cutting and doing all those kind of things. That's why Saquon Barkley doesn't look like himself right now, because he still needs to rest his ankle. He's a shell. Yep. He has no burst. He has no speed. He's basically just another guy. And I know that too because he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I think that dude.
So Rand, in spite of the fact that I have Saquon Barkley, Mike Evans, Kelsey, until he did what he did the other day, I finished number 2.
Yeah, but,
I just wanted to put that on the record. But anyway,
while we're on the subject of Saquon, I think that dude is done, man.
Like done.
Like done. He like done as in never will be the same that he was. It's just too much damage, and I think a lot of that damage has now become psychological. We will see moving forward, but he's had some severe lower body extremity injuries.
No doubt. Talking about some injuries, Teddy Bridgewater got injured and had to be carted off the field in their game, the Broncos game against the Bengals. Now I know that you want that AFC North to keep losing, but your Bengals did win. They're now 8-6, so they are. Anthony says, "I wonder what his trade value will be." Oh, for Saquon, nothing.
Not much.
Not
for a running back.
I tell you this: whatever you send him to somebody for is going to have to include a draft pick or money. You're not going to be able to trade him for a. Matter of fact, if you traded him, somebody may give you a 4th or a 5th.
That's what I said, 4th or 5th. Yep.
That's probably where it is. You're not going to get 2 first rounds or a 1st and a 2nd. No, you're going to get 1 for 1. You're not going to get even 2 picks for him unless somebody give you a 6 and a 7. Yeah, but I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Was he done? But anyway, Joe Burrow doesn't look like himself. He still hadn't looked the same. Him and Jamar Chase just have not been on the same page. People have figured Chase out, it seems like. Tyler Boyd, they haven't figured out. T. Higgins, to a certain extent, they haven't figured out. But it would be really good to see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase really hook back up. Their workhorse, of course, is always Joe Mixon, but he had 17 rushes for 58 yards. So he was just trying to pound it. Samaje Perine also came in with 4 for 30 as well on the ground. But that was kind of the key to the game. They kept it a low-scoring game. The Broncos just couldn't do a lot. Drew Lock came in after Bridgewater, 6 of 12 for 88 yards and a touchdown. Bridgewater, before he went out, 12 of 22 for 98 yards. So not a whole lot from either one of them on that note. And they just kept it a low-scoring game. They did just enough to win the game. It did look like at one point Denver was going to come back, and then Denver did what other teams do. They got in their own way and lost the game. So that's what's going on with the Bengals. They are currently first in the division. Is that right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, well, they're tied with Baltimore, but I believe they've beaten Baltimore.
Yeah, I think they play this week too, so one of them are going to fall back down to earth a little bit.
Well, that does leave an opening for your Steelers.
It does. I mean, this is an important game for us. Got Kansas City this week. Kansas City has all of these guys on safety protocol. Kelsey will not play, probably will not play. Tyreek Hill probably will not play unless they extend the game out to Monday night or Tuesday. The odds have been greatly evened up for Pittsburgh. So
well, I mean, they only have to have, what, 2 back-to-back tests within 24 hours, though, right?
48.
48. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's getting kind of tight with that one. So we will see how it goes. Most of the guys that I've read about anyway that kind of test positive during the week, they do miss that next game. They don't get themselves back ready and play that same game that they test positive through the same week.
Gotcha.
So we'll see what happens though.
Yeah. So right now the Bengals in a 2-way tie statistically with the Ravens, but right behind, I mean, 1 game back are the Steelers. So either you need help from them two to fall down, but what can increase Pittsburgh chances is win the games that they have.
They got to win. They have to win.
So the question, as a Panthers fan, sir, what did everybody see in Cam to bring him back?
Oh, I'll let you answer that, and then I want to take it as well.
Well, as a Panthers fan, Cam, everybody loves a redemption story and a coming home story. When Steve Smith was unceremoniously traded away, that put a bad taste in everybody's mouth in Carolina. You know, we don't treat our players like that. I mean, if it's time to move on, it's time to move on. And there's a certain professional way of doing that. And with Cam, he was unceremoniously kicked out of the door too. He was in rehab. He was getting himself back together. And he was let go at a time when other teams had already started finalizing their rosters, which meant that he was going to have an extremely hard time catching on to another team, or at least competing, because they had already decided who their makeup was going to be. Cam has always been more than just the football player. He's been infectious with his charity. He's been infectious with the way other teammates respond to him. I mean, we laugh at the hats and the skinny jeans and stuff like that and things like that. But when you look at his infectious behavior, a lot of times it's hard, even for the coaches, to, you know, not get caught up in that too. He's a personality. And at the time when Carolina was struggling, the thought of bringing him back was, hey, the fans are losing hope. You know, they don't believe in this team. And what we started to think is, man, wouldn't it be great if Cam was able to kind of come back, get lightning in a bottle, and just ball out for the next 7-8 games? At this point, we were like, what do we have to lose? You know, we tried the new girl, but she wasn't any better than the old girl. So, you know, it's cold right now, Anthony. When the new girl ain't sitting there keeping you warm, and you know the old girl used to keep you warm, sometimes you get the old girl a call. And you'd be like, hey, what you doing? She'd be like, nothing. What you doing? Nothing. You want me to come over? Yeah, if you want to. And that's all that happened. Now, what happened when we found out is that some things have deteriorated since the last time she kept you warm. And we kind of knew that, listen, nobody was under the assumption that Cam was going to ball. So he's there to sell tickets. Yes. Yeah. He's there to sell tickets. He was there to really help a team kind of coalesce around their quarterback because it was obvious that these guys were not playing for Sam Darnold. It was obvious. In the first couple of games, they wouldn't even let anybody sack Cam. Now that kind of came to an end quickly and unceremoniously too. But if you notice those first couple of games, what did he do in those first couple of games? You saw the way they came out, the energy that they came out with. The offensive line has been a total disaster all year. And in his first game, I'm like, who are these guys? Where did they come from? Did we snatch somebody? Is this West Charlotte? I didn't know because I hadn't seen these guys all year. And then all of a sudden, it seems like you put Cam Newton in there. And now all of a sudden, they're playing like, stars again. So, but ultimately, is he there to sell tickets? Yes, because everybody fell in love with QB1. Everybody. Not everybody. Some people, hated his antics and sometimes the towel over the head and stuff like that. But that's because the dude hates to lose. And he didn't always show the most mature ways of showing that he hates to lose. It is not good for TV sometimes when you turn the cameras in on the quarterback and he's sitting there moping because he wants to win so bad. He puts a lot of pressure on himself to win. But he's just not that same person anymore. And I hate it for him because I would have loved the redemption story, but sometimes the story don't always end the way you want it to. And it's just really because, listen, the reason that he's not what he once was is because of what he once did. Dude put his body on the line for this team time after time after time. If you look at the stats when he came into the league, no quarterback has been hit as many times as he has, and it's not even close. It's almost criminal the way that these refs allowed him to get hit early in his career. That if you blew on Drew Brees, if you looked and stared at Tom Brady, there would be a flag. So maybe I'm partial to that because I grew up a Carolina fan, but it was good to see him back. It just, we tried to capture lightning in a bottle and it just didn't work. On you, Rand.
Yeah, just short answer to that is just the fact that it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. The Panthers were sitting around 500 and still had a chance to make the playoffs. At the time, you had Sam Darnold, you had PJ as another option at quarterback. Neither one of those guys were capable of running the run option. Yeah. So the theory was, since our run game was struggling without McCaffrey, sometimes with McCaffrey, bring Cam in there. He's going to help take pressure off the offensive line. Yep. And he's also going to get the business taken care of as far as what Brian just talked about, selling tickets, man. That stadium was dead with Sam Darnold there. You had Minnesota Vikings coming into Carolina and more Vikings fans in the stadium than Carolina fans. It was being taken over.
Same thing with the Eagles game.
Yep, Eagles game too. It was a dead stadium. It was a dead locker room because, like you just said, these guys were done with Sam Darnold, i.e. you seeing Robbie Anderson cuss his ass out on the sidelines, i.e. you seeing one of the defenders in a press conference, pretty much Reddick, I think it was, saying, I'm not even going to talk about the offense. Don't ask me no questions about the offense because he was tired of Sam Darnold. So it was worth a shot. It hadn't worked out. Yeah. Cam is not what Cam used to be. He'll never be super Cam again. But at the time, I understand the thinking. And it was.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. What did they have to lose? It actually showed that Dave Tepper wants to win so badly. Because think about it this way. They knew that they had to do something other than Sam Darnold because he was out. Who else could they have just reached out for and gotten?
And that's the other part.
So it was, what do I have to lose? If it works, I'll look like a genius. If not, okay, maybe I wasted some money, but you can't fault me for trying.
Right. And I don't.
He said the status quo isn't good enough. That's why Matt Rule, while I'm talking about the Panthers, dog, you on a short leash. I don't care how many of your players you keep trying to throw under the bus. If the same results keep happening, it's going to be they're going to sit there and just remove everything that's the same, and whatever remains is what it is. You're what's remaining. You got rid of Brady. Darnold's gone. You're still losing. McCaffrey's gone. You're still losing. You're still there. You're still losing.
What is it? I mean, you
I
just
just say
can't
it.
just can't keep saying, the brakes were faulty, or the tires were no good, or the alternator
Yeah,
stunk.
yeah,
Sometimes maybe you getting in all of these accidents because you can't drive, man.
right.
That's
That's
just
it.
it. That's
That's
just
it
it.
right there. I
And we're
couldn't
in
have said it any
Carolina
better.
right now playing this ugly little game of whose fault is it this week?
Yeah,
I'm tired of it. I think you're tired of it. The
way
fans
tired
are
of it.
tired of it, man. It's
And you
just
know what?
getting
And most importantly, I think Dave Tepper's tired of it.
Tepper's that is wearing Tepper thin. It is.
Because Tepper's making moves around Charlotte. He just bought a big old piece of land not too far from the stadium. He's building a facility across the state line.
Yep.
He's doing a lot of things with his organization. He's starting the soccer team,
Yep.
all these things and stuff. So he wants winners. He wants to bring a Super Bowl to Charlotte. He's got a lot of ideas for some things. And Rule, I know he signed you to a nice lucrative contract, but ask Urban Meyer how that working out.
Right. This ain't guaranteed money, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let that fool you like that now. So you keep on coming up with who to blame this week, but that's running real thin right now for all of us. So yeah. I want to have a press conference one time where you say we lost the game because I didn't do my job well.
That would be good to hear, right? That would be good to hear. At
That's
least once. At least
at
once.
least once. At least once. Can you do it? I don't think so. We also had the Falcons and the 49ers. 49ers beat the Falcons 31-13. No surprise there. But this big surprise was Jimmy Garoppolo really had a pretty good game. 18-23, 235, one touchdown. But again, it's a heavy rushing game. Jeffrey Wilson came in for the injured Elijah Moore, who I have on my fantasy as well. And 21 carries, 110 yards. Debo had, he's a mix Swiss Army knife. He only ran 6 times for 29 yards, but he also had 4 receptions for 60 yards. So Debo was doing his thing all over the place as well. But yeah, Garoppolo kept moving the chains. They did their thing there. Time of possession was even. Again, San Francisco had 23 first downs. Atlanta only had 13. And it was really just Atlanta stalling drives. They just could not move the ball much. Matt Ryan, 19 of 32 for 236 and a touchdown. They couldn't run the ball very well, and they were just stuck. Man, you draft injured players, I see. I didn't know they were going to be injured, but when Elijah does play, he gives me a lot of points. I also have Debo on my team, too. Like I said, I finished second, so that could also mean that the rest of my league really sucked bad, but yeah, but I mixed and matched these players. So sometimes certain ones would have it and then other times they wouldn't. So I was fortunate that way too. But again, you got to stay connected to the injury reports and all the updates and stuff so you can make those moves in and out. Didn't work so well on my Facebook Kings thing, but it definitely pulled.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and found out that I'm out of the playoffs. So
what?
Forget fantasy.
I know, right? I know. Forget fantasy. So that was a game there. Moving on, we also had. I'm not going to go to the Jets and Dolphins, but I will go into the Lions and the Cardinals. What in the world?
Yo, man, I was surprised as the Tampa game with that one. I just kept looking at the box score, even in the Tampa game. I'm like, okay, let me refresh it. Is this like after the first quarter? But I just couldn't believe Tampa got shut out by New Orleans. And I could not believe that they, as in this team, got blown out by the freaking Lions.
And here's the crazy thing, Rand. Looking at their stats, you wouldn't believe it. For instance, Arizona total yards 398, Detroit 338. Passing yards, Arizona 293, Detroit 212. Only way they got them is in rushing. Arizona 105, Detroit 126. 5.5 yards per play for both teams.
Yeah, man.
Arizona had 23 first downs. Detroit had 22. 7 for 15 on third, 6 for 13 on third.
Now, we'll kind of tie this into what we were just talking about with our boy Matt Rule. It is a little refreshing to see the boys in Detroit fighting for Dan Campbell because they literally
Yes,
are. They're playing hard
they
as hell
are.
for this dude.
And even when they lose,
Yep.
the other team feels lucky.
Yes.
They
Because
feel fortunate.
you go up and down Detroit's roster, they are not as talented as Carolina, but they're
Right.
getting way better results and energy and effort from those players than the boys in Carolina. So, Rule,
Yeah.
take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit's been close. Everybody's been on Jared Goff. He played a pretty good game, 21 to 26, 216, 3 touchdowns, no picks, clean game from him. Been waiting for that from him. I was hoping he wasn't a total bum. I mean, I know the Rams gave up on him for obvious reasons. They felt like Stafford was an upgrade. He was more consistent. But I'd seen flashes of Jared Goff in previous years, and I just wondered where that dude was. And I did see a little bit of him on Sunday. So that was kind of good to see. You don't want to just see the guy flailing all over the place like that. And I mean, Kyler Murray, he's no scrub either. He 23 for 41, 257, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. James Conner didn't have as good of a game. 2 receptions for 31 yards, 8 carries for 39 yards. That is 4.9 yards a carry, but he's been getting 2 and 3 touchdowns a game. He had none. So keep him out of the end zone is the best way to win the game. But it wasn't time of possession or anything like that normally comes into play because those were about even. It's just that Detroit made plays when they had to. They made the same amount of plays, but Detroit's plays actually proved to be more substantial than the plays that Arizona made. And it just really came down to that at the end.
Week after week, that effort is there, and it's nice to see that.
It's nice to see it actually turn into a win on the field. That is absolutely true. All right, we're getting down to the end of it, but I will at least talk about these Cowboys against the Giants, only for the simple fact that, folks are I don't know. Cowboy fans are just so beside themselves because they really think they're going to the Super Bowl. And as you said before, there's 3 teams in the NFC, at least above them, that they're going to have a hard time with. If they're matched up with the Rams, I don't see it. If they're matched up with Green Bay, good night. If they're matched up with Tampa, I don't know about that one. That might be their easier one, matchup wise, but I don't know. I don't see it. So, and Anthony says Arizona is a bust. They can't win without Hopkins, and he can't stay healthy. Plus, AJ Green ain't doing nothing. AJ Green looks lost. I don't know, just all those years and since he just kind of just took away what he was. But
that's another one that's had that lower body extremity injury, and he just ain't never recovered from that ankle, man. He ain't never been the same.
So now he's a Jag. He's just another guy.
Just another guy.
The things that make certain guys special, when you start to have those injuries, that robs you of that. And you see these guys not having these long careers and stuff, which makes you really, again, appreciate the guys that do end up having these long, productive careers because it is not a given. That's why they say the average life in the NFL is like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because you can't maintain that greatness that long because your body just can't hold up. Most athletes in the NFL are freaks of nature. It is not normal to have a guy 6'5" weigh 300 pounds. That's not natural. And to be able to run and cut, that's not natural. So these guys are doing crazy things with a lot of weight and all that other kind of stuff. The body wasn't meant to do that. So they're already amazing enough. But yeah, your guy Dak Prescott did do 28 of 37, 217 touchdown, no picks. I expected more out of Dak playing against New York. So even though they won 21-6, if the offense is where people really say it is, they should have scored 40 points.
It's crazy because we keep talking about the month of December and January and teams hitting their stride. You know, Dallas is winning, but Dak, who is supposed to be driving that boat, he's not hitting his stride. He's kind of taking, these last couple of games, he's kind of regressing. So if you Cowboy fans want a deep playoff run, you better get Dak in order because right now I'm not seeing it.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to get a home playoff game, but it's going to be first round. So you're not getting a bye. probably. So you're going to have to be on it from the get-go. So what games are you looking forward to starting tomorrow?
Starting tomorrow, man. Well,
49ers at the Titans.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Of course, the game I'm going to have my eyes on because we need it so bad. It's Pittsburgh, Kansas City, no doubt. And I'm also going to be looking at what happens between Baltimore and Cincinnati. So
Oh yeah,
I'm going to have my eyes on right there.
Those are going to be some big games. One of my big games is going to be the revenge game, the Bills at the Patriots, to see if the Bills are for real or if they were kind of like the Ravens, regular season darlings that are just going to sputter out. Is Mac Jones really going to be able to come back from subpar performance that he had in the last game? A lot of implications in the AFC East will be on the line for that. So that's going to be interesting to me. And lastly, Anthony, Cowboys playing preseason games. Giants are bad, and my Washington can't stay COVID free.
That's your last two victories, ain't it?
Yeah, pretty much. The other games, they are what they are. Bucks beating out the Panthers, Chargers beating up on the Texans, probably. Giants, Eagles flip a coin. Rams over the Vikings. I'm seeing Jags maybe over the Jets, but I'm going to pick that as a spoiler. I think the Jets are going to beat the Jags.
I got Jets
just because of what I keep seeing from the Jets. They will learn how to eventually close out games and win. And also, can the Browns go into Lambeau and beat up on the Packers?
Man, hell no.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this week. Man, y'all stay safe out there. Y'all keep Omicron away from me. Tell them I'm not interested. I don't want to see no part of Omicron. Rand, stay safe out there. Good luck with your Steelers. And we will see y'all again next week. Be good.